If you've struggled with stress, balance, or burnout, and simply feel discouraged or even defeated, and if you're ready to move from force to flow and enjoy ultimate Zen success in your career, health, or relationships, then the Zen Success Show is for you. Your host, Carissa Sims, is an entrepreneur, corporate consultant, best-selling author, meditation teacher, and healer who has found her own Zen success. Here's your host, Carissa Sims.
Welcome to this week's episode of Zen Success. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Dr. Noah St. John, legendary executive coach, iconic keynote speaker, and #1 best-selling author. Noah St. John, PhD, is recognized as the father of affirmations. So we'll learn about that and what that means. And the mental health coach to the stars. Noah St. John is recognized as one of the most requested, in-demand business and motivational keynote speakers and executive coaches in the world. He is the only author in history to have works published by Hay House, HarperCollins, Simon & Schuster, Mindvalley. I didn't even know they had a publishing arm. That's interesting. Nightingale Conant. That's the same publisher as some of the greats out there, the first inspirational speakers, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And the Chicken Soup for the Soul publisher, which I've also interviewed Mark Victor Hansen on this podcast. So very familiar with Chicken Soup for the Soul. Noah has also delivered over 1,000 plus presentations for corporations, associations, business groups, colleges, universities, and youth organizations worldwide. I'm sure you're such an inspiration to our youth. That's incredible. Noah St. John speaks for groups ranging from 25 to 25,000. He's been seen on CBS, ABC, NBC, The Jenny McCarthy Show, and many other TV and radio programs. Welcome, Dr. Noah.
Well, thank you, Carissa. Great to be here today.
Woohoo!
Yeah.
We finally aligned and connected.
Yes.
When was the first time we connected? A national publicity summit. That was
probably about
like
2021,
a long time ago.
I guess. 2021, probably.
2021. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I feel so lucky that you remember me. I remember you too. But that must have been when I was first getting involved with the National Publicity Summit, and we're just now connecting. It's just interesting how life works that way.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So, but I'm happy that you're here, and I want to start our conversation with just an open question. Do you feel that anyone can become successful?
Well, I love that question.
Okay. It's not too generic for you,
no,
right?
I love it. Let me say this, okay? I grew up poor in a rich neighborhood. Now, I know that's a total cliche. I know. But it's true. It's totally true. I grew up
I read about that.
I grew up in a little town called Kennebunkport, Maine, which is one of the wealthiest communities in New England. But my family was dirt poor. I mean that literally, because we lived at the bottom of a dirt road in a drafty, unfinished house that my parents ended up losing to foreclosure when I was just 15 years old. So growing up, I had the painful experience of experiencing the gap, the chasm between the haves and the have-nots. The haves was everyone else in the community. The have-nots was my family.
Because you were going to school with them. So
Exactly.
You were in there. But it's like interesting because it's like, I feel like maybe you even had that success and wealth vibration at that time, because think of it was all around you, right?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm sure we've all heard.
I'm taking a different perspective.
I'm sure we've all heard these motivational speakers or guys get up on stage and they'll say things like, well, growing up, we were poor, but we were happy. We didn't know we were poor. Well, in my family, we freaking knew we were poor. Because
but were you happy?
No, it sucked. I hated it. Are you kidding me? Happy?
You're keeping it real. I
hated it.
Okay,
I hated being poor. My mother, bless her heart, reminded us every day that we were poor and miserable. So no, it wasn't happy. It sucked. So the point is, from a very young age, I hated being poor. I hated it. because there's nothing good about being poor. There's a lot of whatever out there that says, it's more spiritual to be poor. And I'm like, great. That's great for you, man. But see, what a lack of money. But you think
that's BS, really, that it's great to be poor?
Because what a lack of money does is, at least this was my experience. Okay. This was my experience. A lack of money means you have a lack of choices. And when you have a lack of choices, that means you're not free. Okay. So I can definitely make the argument that I grew up in a prison of poverty. Okay. So was that fun? No, it wasn't fun. It sucked. And so because I hated being poor so much, I made a determination from the time I was very young. I mean, I was only like 7 or 8 years old, very young. And I said, I hate this. I want money, because I would hang out with my friends at school and they all had, they came from wealth. I mean, big houses. If you ever go to Kennebunkport, Maine, you'll see it's a very wealthy community.
I see.
But my family was out there in down a dirt road, and we lost the house at age 15. When I was 15. Anyway, so the point is, I said, I've got to find a way out of here. I've got to find a way to go from, here to there, meaning poverty to, if not wealth, at least not poverty, because this sucks. So anyway,
at least somewhere a little bit better. Right. But you had the taste of wealth around you. So you knew that it was possible, maybe.
That's right. And I know, see, now this is going back to your question. Well, this is a long way of answering your question. Okay, but it's all related. Trust me. So the point is that, I understand that many, many people, and I mean, I would think just mathematically, most people on this planet are raised in basic poverty, or at least not wealth. I mean, just mathematically speaking, that's a fact. Nobody can argue with that. That, why do you think we have the 1% and the 99%? Right. That's pretty accurate, really. And then, of course, you have the 0.1% and the 0.001% and so on and so on.
Right.
But
that's
what
the 1% is considered, what is that considered? Over 100,000?
Actually, I think it's over like 75,000.
Oh,
if you can believe it. Seriously.
No, are you kidding me?
No, I'm not. I mean, I research this all the time, and I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
My God.
I know, right? It's crazy, isn't it?
Wow, I had no idea. Okay, well, you do the research. So, okay.
Hello.
Okay, go back. Yeah.
So you're welcome,
You're
everybody.
Such a New Yorker. I love your straightforward, you're cool.
Well, like I said, I grew up in Maine in New England, which they're very direct. When I was I just did a speaking engagement in the South, and they're like, well, we can, and I'm like, guys, can we just get to the point here? 25 minutes later, I love you, man, but come on. Time is money. Let's go.
You're a straight shooter. Yeah.
Let's go. And they appreciated that about me.
I'm sure.
So can anybody be successful? Of course they can. So my point is, again, the reason I was sharing that story is very simple, because I wanted everyone to realize that, yes, I grew up in poverty, and yes, I was poor in a rich neighborhood. Most people they grow up in poverty consciousness, because that's what's taught. So I mean, even though I hated being poor, in another part of me, I assumed I was going to be poor my whole life.
Right.
I just assumed I was going to be, because what else is there to do? Even though I worked really, really hard not to be.
Yeah.
At the age of 25, I decided to commit suicide because I was broke, depressed,
oh my God,
frustrated. I'd been reading all these books on self-help. And that's what I skipped that part of the story. But when I told you when I was a kid, I hated being poor. So I went to the library and read every book on success. I went to the self-help section of the library and read every book.
Yeah.
And I really, really tried to make it work. But by the time I got to age 25, it never worked. I was still broke, poor. I was living by myself. My girlfriend had just left me. It was like a country song,
Oh my God.
My girlfriend left me. But it was, it was true. It really happened.
Yeah, it was
and
true,
so I said, you know what? I don't want to be here anymore on this planet. And so I'm leaving. I'm taking me out. And, at the very last moment, my life was spared. And so
And how did that happen? You had an awakening?
Well, I was living in Los Angeles at the time. And like I said, I mean, my girlfriend left me. I had a job, but I mean, I was just barely getting by. I could barely pay the rent. I was late on the rent most of most of the time. Luckily, I had a very nice landlord. He let me be late. And I mean, it was just constant struggle. And still, I was just still poor. And I literally said, well, this is going to be the rest of my life. This is what I have to look forward to for the next 40, 50 years. I'm like, you know what? I don't want to be here because this sucks. No, this is not what I want. And I don't want to be here. So I made that decision. And so I decided to, and this was before the internet. This was in 1992 when this happened. So there was no internet then.
Right before.
But I remember reading or hearing somewhere that if you pull your car into a garage and close the door, and keep the car running, you would asphyxiate yourself and die.
I've heard that.
I said,
I'm always conscious of that. I'm always got to turn the car off.
I had heard that somewhere, and I'm like, well, that sounds good because I don't have a gun. I don't want to, I can't shoot myself or something. So I'm like, that to me is good because you just fall asleep and you don't wake up. To me, that's pretty good, right? This is me at the time.
Painless, seemingly painless. Yeah.
Exactly. So there was just one problem. I was living in an apartment building and we only had open auto bays. I didn't have a garage. So I didn't have a gun, didn't have a garage. I didn't have anything. So I said, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to get in my car. I'm going to drive around and I'm going to find an open garage that I can pull my car into and shut the door behind me. And that will be that. And I did that. I drove around. I was living in North Hollywood at the time. I drove around and in Van Nuys, California, believe it or not, I found
Oh my God.
True story. This is
I lived in Van Nuys. If you tell me,
true.
Tell me
this
the
is
street.
All true.
Oh my God.
You can't make this stuff up. Anyways.
Okay.
So I was about to pull in. I saw an open garage. This is unbelievable, but it is totally true. It happened. And so I looked in this garage and I said, okay, let's go. Let's do it. And at the very last second, something caught my eye. And I looked in the corner of the garage and I saw the thing that saved my life.
Oh my God.
And it was a child's bicycle.
Oh my God.
It was a child's bicycle. I knew it was a child's bicycle because, it was literally one of those little ones that had the handlebars, and the little things on the end. I used to have a bike similar to that when I was a kid. And so I looked over there and I said, and then I just had this vision and I said, and I'll never forget this. I'm getting chills as I tell this story again. But I said, okay, Noah, you're going to pull into this stranger's garage. There's a child, at least one child, maybe more, at least one child living here, parents, and they're going to come home and find your dead body. And I just pictured that, I pictured the mom and she's crying and screaming and going, what? And the kid is all confused and like, what? And I saw this vision. And I said, Noah, this is going to traumatize this family, possibly for the rest of their lives. And I said, you can't do that. That is not fair to these people. You can't do that.
Yeah. So you had compassion. You had compassion with this bike, and you could really feel that alternate reality that could have been. That's amazing.
Yes. I saw it. I mean, I just saw the vision. I saw this family and I said, Noah, you're going to traumatize this family for the rest of their lives. I said, that's not fair. You can't do that. I mean, imagine if you come home and a stranger's dead in your garage. I said, no, you can't. So I just pulled away and that was it. And I said, okay, all right, fine. I won't do it. And so that's when I started really talking to God and saying, what is it you want me to do?
Oh,
what do you want me to do?
Because it felt like divine intervention to me.
Yeah.
Okay, you're manifesting this open garage.
Yes.
But that is your choice point. That bicycle is, I'm just getting chills.
Yes,
and
me too.
What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And so,
and that was it. I said, and of course, I don't know who this family is. I'll never know. I mean, they weren't there. So, I mean, it's impossible to know who it was, but I saw it anyway in my mind.
Yeah. And Van Nuys is kind of, for people that don't know, is like a kind of a sketchy. There's areas that are sketchy.
Yeah, it was kind of. It was kind
not
of
so nice.
It was. I mean,
I lived there.
Yeah. No, I mean, I didn't expect really to find. I didn't know what I would find.
Yeah.
So that was the thing that saved my life, and so that's when I started. So I realized, Noah, what am I doing here on this planet? I've got to find my purpose. And so I went back to the library. Remember that I told you earlier, I went to the library. I just read every book in the self-help section. I went back to the library, the North Hollywood Library this time. And I read every book in the spiritual section. And I started reading all the spiritual books.
I see. Did you believe in God at this point, or what were your spiritual
Well, yes,
practices?
I did. And that's when I started going to the North Hollywood Church of Religious Science.
Oh, yeah. Religious science is really in alignment with my beliefs too, because I went to Agape in LA.
Oh, yeah. Michael Beckwith. Absolutely.
Yeah, Michael Beckwith.
He's the man. I heard him speak back in the 90s, and I said, man, this guy's a superstar. And of course, I was right. But so when I grew up Catholic, I was raised Catholic. Okay. And what I got from being raised Catholic was, well, because that's what they tell you, is, first of all, you're a sinner. Secondly, nothing you ever do is good enough. And third, God doesn't like you. So it's like, great, this is awesome. Thanks,
so there's no hope for you.
No hope. I mean, we're all, you're a sinner and good luck. Like, thanks, guys. That's great. Anyway, so when I went to this Church of Religious Science, the Reverend Mark Vieira, I remember, his name, and he was a very great speaker, very really good, communicator. Mm-hmm. And he said something. And by the way, when I walked into that church for the first time, here's what I looked like. I was all hunched over like this. I couldn't look people in the eye. I was
no way. You? Oh my God, you are a different person.
Hello.
You are transformed 180.
Yes, but I mean, I had zero self-esteem, none, self-esteem. I couldn't look people in the eye. I was, and I'm like, just. I had just attempted to commit suicide.
Yeah, of course.
It's like
right.
Not exactly feeling great about myself at that time,
Well, I thought maybe you would feel a little bit better that you didn't do it.
No, I still had no self-confidence, no self-esteem at all. Mm-hmm. And so the Reverend got up on the, pulpit, and he started saying things like, God is right where you are. And I'm like, what? I mean, God's right where I am. God doesn't even like me. And then he said, there is no spot where God is not. And I'm going, what? That doesn't make any. I was raised to believe that God was a white guy with a beard, and he's looking down, and he doesn't like me. They're a sinner.
Just waiting to punish you.
Yes,
watching, waiting.
And I'm going, what? Yeah. So anyway, that's when I really started diving into the works of Ernest Holmes, who was the founder of the Church of Religious Science, Science of Mind, which is not Scientology. People think it's Scientology. It's not.
Yeah, I'm so glad you clarified that, because I do know the difference, and it's like night and day.
Oh, yeah, very
Believe
much so.
me.
Very much so. Anyway, so
I'm just kidding.
I really studied Ernest Holmes. I studied, Marianne Williamson and Louise Hay and Neil Donald Walsh and people like that. And I really started to understand more about the nature of God and man, and the fact that there is no spot where God is not. And I'm like, that was a totally weird, totally different way of looking at the universe for me. And so, but it really gave me a sense of confidence and calm that I had never had in my whole life. And so, fast forward 5 years later in 1997.
And you believed it. So that's the thing. You believed it because you were receptive at some point.
It made sense to me. It made sense. So 5 years later, in 1997, I found myself back in college at age 28. And then, at age 1995, I was 28. In 1997, I was 30. Okay. And so that's when I had the two epiphanies that led me to do all the work that I'm doing now, having written 24 books, help my clients add over $3 billion in added found revenues, meaning I've helped a lot of people add multiple 6 figures, 7 figures, even 8 figures using my methods, and, do one-on-one coaching, group coaching, online courses, books, and everything like that, and keynote speaking, as you mentioned. So that really was my journey. And that's how everything started. And now 26 years later, we've helped a lot of people not only make a lot of money, but really win their lives back. And I work with a lot of people, and I coach a lot of people, whether it's one-on-one or group coaching, who, probably weren't as bad off as me, but I mean, that, like, I'll give you an example. Like, I was coaching one woman, her name is Catherine. She's an entrepreneur in Pennsylvania, and she was in my group coaching program, which is called the 12-Week Breakthrough. We have a program called 12-Week Breakthrough, which is a group coaching program where I help people make more in just 12 weeks than they did in the previous 12 months while actually winning back their lives. So
Can I interrupt for a moment?
Yeah,
I have read your PDF on the 12-week breakthrough. I downloaded it. So I highly encourage everyone to do that. And you can schedule a call with your team, which was so generous and incredible. What an incredible opportunity. So that's available on his website. If you want to give that right now, that's okay. Go ahead. Do you want to give that?
I was going to say that's
website?
at breakthroughwithnoah.com. That's the
breakthroughwithnoah.com.
Okay,
perfect.
Easy to remember, right?
Yeah,
I'm the breakthrough coach. Breakthroughwithnoah.com.
Yeah. Yes. And I really feel your heart when you say you help people get their lives back, you know, because money is about having a choice. Of course, you know, that's a means to an end, but that's right. Really beautiful.
Well, just going back to Catherine's example now, when she joined the 12-week breakthrough program, she was in a very dark place in her life. That's her words, not mine. So she was in a dark place and, you know, not as bad as I was, but still, you know, that's her words. Well, in week 5, she sent me an email after I'd been coaching her for 5 weeks. And she sent me an email and she said, guess what, Noah? I just raised $185,000 in one day because of what you taught me. And she says, I finally believe in me for the first time.
Oh,
$185,000 one day. Hello. You're
beautiful.
Yeah.
That's so incredible.
And we have lots of stories like that. But the point is, that goes still back to your question that you opened with is, can anybody be successful? Yeah. I mean, when you apply the right strategy and you have the right plan, the right tools, and you get the right support, and that's the key element that's missing for many people is having the right support. The people in your corner who are believing in you, maybe when you don't even believe in yourself. And see, that's the thing that I never had. And now that's the thing I'm able to give to my clients is believing in them. Sometimes, like, you know, with Catherine and many others, that they just didn't believe in themselves. And once you start to believe in yourself, and see, what's so funny is that everybody talks about that. Everybody says, well, you know, the key to success is believe in yourself. Well, that's great. But what if I don't believe in myself?
Yeah.
And what I realized,
you need to feel it, you need to embody it and really live it.
Actually, a process for doing that they never tell you. They never tell you these things. See, this is taught by those guys, those gurus that already believe in themselves. And they never didn't believe in themselves. Okay. So the point is, for someone like me, and frankly, for most people.
Well, maybe some of them didn't. Like Tony Robbins had some, you know.
Maybe.
No, I know.
But they still don't tell you how to do it.
But he still didn't say right.
Believe in yourself. It's kind of like saying to someone who wants to lose weight, well, listen, if you want to lose weight, make sure you don't weigh so much.
Right. Or he was using NLP, I think. And sometimes, NLP and hypnosis, but yeah.
Anyway, my point is that there is a process, a formula for that. And that's just one example of you know, the things that we do. But the point is that most people, frankly, just don't believe in themselves, even though they've heard it a million times. And that's, you know, and I'll give you another example. Tamisa is another entrepreneur that I worked with, that I coached in the 12-week breakthrough. And she was very skeptical. In fact, she's a self-proclaimed seminar junkie. That was her words, right? She was going to all these seminars, you know, like you were saying, and all, you know, all these gurus and everything. And she was doing well. She was actually making 6 figures, but she could never break through that income ceiling. She just kept hitting her head on that ceiling, right? Which is very common. Most people have this income ceiling and they can't get any further. No matter what you do, right? And no matter how much you go to.
I want to tell you something just as a side note. I do spiritual healing and I do it on money too. And I can see people's income ceiling and it's self-imposed because we are limitless. So it's just interesting that you say that, because everybody has a floor and everybody has a ceiling, but they put it on themselves. But usually I feel that God or the universe or your destiny, your soul protects you with a certain floor. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
Well, Tamisa, you know, was definitely ahead of the floor, but she kept hitting her head on the ceiling.
Yeah.
No matter what she did. And so she decided to join my 12-week breakthrough. She was very skeptical. She's like, is this isn't going to be any different? And I was like, you know, well, the results speak for themselves. So you tell me. Anyway, in 2 weeks, she tripled her investment. The first 2 weeks of coaching with me, she tripled her investment. And we hadn't even gotten to the money part yet. So what does that tell you? I mean, that's how effective that these methods are.
Yeah. And is it so effective because you're really working on what's going on the inside? You want to talk about that a little bit, and then you get into how can you take action now coming from this place of confidence and belief.
That's right. So when you look at any human endeavor, all right, so whether you want to make more money, you want to get a promotion at work, you want to start a business, you want to grow a business, you want to sell your business, right? Or you want to have a happy relationship, right? So this isn't just about money. It's about your whole life.
I see.
Okay.
But thank you for clarifying that, because, absolutely, a lot of people think that you might be about that. Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, I mean, like my latest book is called The 7-Figure Expert, which is all about, it only talks about money. No. I just want to get your attention. The 7-Figure Expert. This is all about, I've helped people make $3 billion. So yeah, so do I help people hit the 7-figure level consistently? Yeah. But more importantly, I help you win your life back. I think that's more important. Of course, they're both important. Anyway, so in any human endeavor, there's always two elements. And this is what I've been teaching for 25 years now. Okay. And the two elements are inner game and outer game. Inner game and outer game. So if you look at two circles that sort of join together here like a Venn diagram, right?
Yeah.
So this circle
I actually made a copy of it.
Oh, you did? Yeah, it's right there. It's in all my books. This is what I talk about.
Look, I made a copy because I was this is great. So I had it right here.
You're good, Carissa. You are good. Anyway, it's in all my books. Anyways,
in all of your books. That's incredible. So buy any of your 24 books on like the NoahSt.John.com.
Well, it's NoahSt.John.com is my main website. Okay. And then if you go under books, we have a listing of my most popular books. But actually for this book here, which is the new one, it's called The 7-Figure Expert, Your Ultimate Guide to a Life of More Impact, Influence, and Financial Freedom. You can actually get this book for free at 7figureexpertbook.com. Very easy to remember, 7figureexpertbook.com. The book is free. I've covered the cost of the book. And we just ask you to cover the shipping.
Pay for shipping. Okay.
Yes. So 7figureexpertbook.com.
So how do you do that? Do you do that through Amazon or you have a publisher?
This one I published myself. But as you mentioned earlier, I'm the only author in history that's had works published by Hay House, HarperCollins, Simon & Schuster, Mind Valley, Nightingale, Conan, and the Chicken Soup for the Soul Club. No one else on this planet, no one else in history has ever done that except me. I'm the only person. And you can research that. You can look it up. I'm it.
It's fine. Anyway, I believe in you.
Thank you.
I believe you and believe in you.
Thank you. Anybody can research that all they want. Like, nope.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, so you're going back to the story.
All right, so inner game. Yeah. All right, those two circles. Inner game. Now, inner game is everything that happens between your ears that you can't see directly, but it affects everything that you do. All right, so like, for example, I was just speaking to a group of business owners in Orlando, right? That was the conference I was just at recently. And I asked them, and I do this with, all of my keynote presentations, and I'll say to my audience members, all right, what is one area of your life where your beliefs don't affect you? And here's what people do. They go, I go, exactly.
There's no
place your beliefs don't affect you. Right? Your beliefs affect your health, right? Your peace of mind, your stress level, your mental health, your emotional health, right? All aspects of your well-being, your weight, and all of that, right? So your beliefs affect all of that. Your beliefs affect your wealth, your money, right? Your finances, your business, your career, your job, whether you get promotions or not, whether you are attracting clients or patients or customers or not, et cetera, right? All of that in terms of money. And then, of course, relationships, right? Your beliefs affect your relationships. Your personal life, your business, your professional relationships, your intimate relationships, family relationships, social life. There's no place your beliefs don't affect you. But here's the interesting thing. You can't see a belief. You can only see the effects of a belief. Okay. And so one thing that means is that you can be doing really well in one area of your life, but maybe in another you're stuck or struggling. So for example,
I would say most times there's
hello.
I would say most of the time.
Yes.
I
always like to undersell. Well, I don't like to oversell. I like to undersell it. All right.
Okay. Yeah.
But you are so right. You are so right. But my point is that, let's say, maybe your health is really good, right? You're doing well with your health, you're in good shape, and, so et cetera. But maybe, your money isn't where you want it to be. Right. Or conversely, maybe, making lots of money, but maybe your health is suffering, or your relationships, you don't see your family, et cetera. Right.
That's right. Because they're focusing all their energy on making money and sacrificing their soul. Really. So then
that happens very free. So the point is, it's not cookie cutter, one size fits all. That's what most people, those gurus are doing, cookie cutter. What we do is a very customized, personalized approach. Okay. So that's your inner game. And then you also have your outer game. Okay. So your outer game is everything you can see directly. It's right in front of your face. I mean, there it is. Right. So that's the systems, the strategies. For example, as an entrepreneur, right, we have to do all of the offers, funnels, and traffic, and all of those things that you have to do to make this thing called money.
Yeah.
Right. That's the outer game. But here's what's very interesting. Most people are very imbalanced in one or both of those areas.
Yes.
In other words, many people have spent a lot of time, money, and effort on one while ignoring the other.
Yeah.
In other words, so there's people that watch The Secret 37 times and they wonder why they're not a millionaire. And I'm like, yeah, good luck with that. So in movies like The Secret, what they did was they lied to us. They lied to us because they said, listen, all
they just didn't share everything that you needed.
Well, they lied because they said basically, hey, listen, all you got to do is think about money, and money pours in from the sky. Just think about a car and it appears magically. Really? What planet's that on again? Really? Because last time I checked, we have to do this annoying thing called take action if we want to have a result here on planet Earth. It's like, you know what? I'm going to sit on the couch, think about having 6-pack abs. Meanwhile, I never exercise and I eat junk food all day. It sounds great.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, that's like the next piece of it. So, like visualizing, believing, and feeling, and then you got to take action. That's right. You got to get out there.
Exactly. That's why I've been teaching inner game and outer game for 25 years. And that's one of the reasons I have helped people make over $3 billion after they've tried everything else already.
Yeah.
Right. Because they, like Tamisa, I was just telling you about, she was a seminar junkie with everything. And they're all saying the same thing. No kidding. Of course, they're all saying the same thing, but they're missing the most important things. And that's what I do is I fill in the gaps. I fill in the blanks. And that's what so many people have said is like, no, oh my God, thank you for giving me the missing piece. This is what I've been looking for 20 years. I'm like, you're welcome. So the point is, it took me 20 years, right? And I had to spend over $500,000. I paid all these guys all this money only to find out they can't teach their way out of a paper bag. And so, they're great self-marketers, great self-promoters, but they suck at teaching. They suck at code. They don't tell you anything. There's no there. And so I said, my God, I would pay this guy all this money.
They're more motivational. Yeah, or exactly. Inspirational. They're motivational.
Well, they're just self-promotional is what they are. They're great at self-promotion. They're spending tons and tons of money.
And you can learn from them too, the way they promote.
Sort of. You can learn from observing them. But so in other words, I tell my clients all the time, look at what they do, not what they teach. Because what they teach, they're going to leave everything out. If you look at what they do, then they're doing it, right? But still, it's like a black box. They're never going to tell you what's in there. So that's what I do is I expose the black. I'm like, look, here's what they didn't tell you. It's like the iceberg principle, right? 5% is visible above the surface. The vast 95% is invisible. So it's only when you master your inner game and your outer game that you have the phenomenon called success. All right. And that's, when you read my books, when you get when you go to my website, you just see so many case study. And that's another thing that I just want to point out is that's the difference between personality driven success and system driven success. See, personality driven success is exactly what it sounds like. It's based on that person's personality. Well, that's great for them. But what if I don't have that personality? Right? Well, then you're out of luck. See, those guys they have this big, larger than life personality. That's their whole marketing. That's all that they're about. Look at my,
I've never heard of that
helicopter.
before. Personality success. Interesting.
This is what I teach, Carissa. Okay. Of course you haven't heard it before. This is what I do. This is why people make a lot of money after getting coaching with me, because it's like, yes, you're welcome. But that's the point, is they're all doing personality, but there's no system. And how do you know? This is the key for everybody listening to this program. I want you to realize this is how you know. It's very simple. Is their biggest success story themselves, or are there success stories based on their clients? See, when you go to my websites, you'll see it's all about my clients. Now, of course, I've done well. I've made millions. I've lost millions. Okay. But who cares? Who cares? It's not about one person.
Other people. It's about being of service. It's about
the system. That's how you know that anybody can do it. This goes right back to your very first question. Can anybody do it? Well, yeah, when you have the system, when you follow the blueprint, when you fill in the blanks that those guys don't give you. Yes, I literally give you the checklist. Here, do this. It works. I had one of my clients many years ago, one of my very first coaching clients. He said, Noah, do you realize that your coaching is the only coaching that fixes every other coaching? And I said, well, yeah, you're right. It does, doesn't it? I was glad he said it. I didn't say it. He said it. I'm like,
yeah,
you're right. And he also said, do you realize that if people do this, it never not works? It never not works. Yeah, that's true. You're right. It never not
double
works.
Negatives make a positive.
Exactly. You're right. It never not works. I'm like, yeah, that's true. You're right. Good point.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's so interesting. That could be a new marketing tagline or a different marketing,
Yeah, well,
if you felt like it. I mean, everything that you have is working already, but it's just kind of, it's interesting, because it's like your client that you said went to all of these Seminar Junkie, went to all these different coaching services and made more. Yeah, from yours.
Triple investment in 2 weeks. You can watch her video. Watch her video too.
Yeah, on your site.
I mean, that's what I'm all about. I'm all about systems that work, because the fact is, most entrepreneurs, think about what most entrepreneurs are doing. So if you think about your life, right? Your life, your dream life. Why'd you become an entrepreneur? Because you want to have freedom, right? You want freedom.
Exactly. That's why I left my corporate.
Exactly. Or me too, right? Because I was working in corporate America. I hated it. Not putting it down. I mean, it's just not for everyone.
Yeah, so I actually liked it, but I did want more freedom. I wanted to take vacations when I wanted.
That's one of the reasons that most people become an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
But then you realize, oh my gosh, I don't even have a system here. I don't really know. And because nobody's telling you what to do, you don't know what to do. So that's one of the reasons why so many entrepreneurs are hitting that income ceiling that I talked about. And so the point is that once you put these systems in place, see what most entrepreneurs, if you think about it, when you're trying to build your dream business or your dream life, it's like building a house, right? So when you build a house, you have to have these certain things. They have to be in place. And if not, the house is going to fall down, right? It's not going to stand the test of time.
Yeah.
But what happens is that for most entrepreneurs, what they're doing is they wake up in the morning and they say, man, I really want a house. What should I do? Well, I don't know. I don't really have a plan. So you know what? I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to start slapping boards together, and I bet a house will show up. So most entrepreneurs are busy running around slapping boards together, hoping a house shows up. Meanwhile, they're working way too hard for not enough money. And so in order to fix that problem, you really only need 3 things. You need to have the right plan, right? The right plan. That's what to do. Like, that would be the blueprint, right? That's the system. That's the formula. Boom. Fill in the blanks. Just do it, right? That's the right plan, what to do. Then you need the right tools, right? Because even if you have a good plan, if you don't have the right tools, it's still going to be really hard to build your house. I mean, you could, try to drive a nail in with your forehead. That's going to hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
And what would be an example of the right tools for an entrepreneur? Is that what you're talking about? Like the funnels and marketing?
That's part of it. Yeah. But I'm also talking about inner game tools as well. So
inner game tools.
I started my company, successclinic.com, in a 300 square foot basement apartment in 1997 with $800 to my name and a book on HTML. So I had nothing. I had no money, no marketing, no sales, no business skills, no experience. And if you remember being online in the 90s, remember that with the modem and you've got.
I wasn't online to me. Okay, I had a word processor.
Okay. Well, for those of you who remember being online,
Yeah, lots
all
of
that.
noises. You
Yeah.
know, we had a Mac computer. I mean, I was in high school. We had a Mac computer, so I was a little bit to do
Right.
like design and stuff, but not
Mhm.
really online searching.
Well, I mean, I was one of the first to do it. In fact, I didn't even know it at the time, but I actually started the very first business and personal growth website online back in 1997. I'm actually 7 months older than Google.
God, that's amazing.
Yes, it is.
I didn't, oh, that's so cool.
So anyway, the point is back then we had very few tools. They were very rudimentary. It's like trying to build a house with a rock and some sticks, right? So now what's ironic about it is we don't live in the information age. We live in the information overload age.
That's right.
We passed the information age 20 miles back. Most people that I talk to every single day are on overload. That means, ironically, there's too many tools now. So it is funny because it's just as bad to have too many tools as too few.
Right.
Okay. So one of the things that I do is I help people cut through that clutter. And because they just go, no, I don't know where to start. There's 10 million, billion, gazillion things out there. I'm like, okay, no problem. Let's just start right here and we just simplify. People ask me all the time, how did you write 24 books? How did you do that? How have you done that? And I always answer the same way, by writing them.
Yeah.
Now, I know that's a
priority. It's
Exactly.
making it a priority.
Exactly.
Really,
And
you have to choose.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, like right now, we have a book done for you service because so many people asked me about that. They said, "No, can you help me get my book done?" And I go, "Sure." So we get your book done.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. And in fact, right now I'm working with a stem cell doctor who's in Nashville, and he told me that when he hired me, he said, "No, I've been thinking about writing this book for the last 10 years. 10 years I've had this book rattling around my head. We got it done for him in 6 weeks."
I bet it's going to be brilliant and so amazing.
I'm excited about it. It's a great book.
There. Yeah.
It's a great book. So anyway, so you got the right plan, what to do, the right tools. That's how to do it. And then the third thing that you must have is the right support. Okay. You've got to have that person or people believing in you.
You or me?
I mean, I do it. So yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Here I am. I'm the guy sitting here saying it. So yeah.
Yeah. You're not going to
I don't know who you could possibly use for that.
You're going to point
no
to
idea. Who could you possibly do? I have no clue. Yeah. It's a mystery.
It is. It is a mystery. But I'm glad you gave us the answer.
Moving on. Yeah. Who's got two thumbs and gives you all this? Me, this guy.
That's right. That's amazing. Okay.
Because they'll be like, what are they talking about right now? Anyway.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Well, it is fun. It's fun talking about this.
Right tools and the right support. I mean, that's like 90% of the game, but you still have to take the right actions, right? Your house isn't going to build itself. So, I mean, I give you everything. I mean, that is literally fill in the blank, but you got to fill in the blanks.
Yeah.
Like Catherine that I was just telling you about. I mean, she did her homework. Everybody that I coach
they worked hard. They focused.
Exactly. Because, they're investing a good amount of money.
Yeah.
But I'll give you another example. Like I had one client named Charles. And he read one of my books and just contacted me on the website. And he totally just loved my approach. He said, "No, I love how you're different. I love how you're not the same as everybody else." And he said, "So, I want to hire you." So I said, "Okay, no problem." I said, "Now, by the way, just before we get started, how much do you think it's costing you to not have these things in place this year? Like in the next 12 months, if we don't get this in place for you, how much do you think it's going to cost you?" Now, without batting an eye, he said $1 million. No, if we don't get this in place, it's going to cost me $1 million over the next 12 months. I said, "I'll tell you what, Charles, first of all, I hear that all the time. It's very common. People say, if I don't do this, it's going to cost me, 250,000, $500,000, $1 million or more, and so it's very common." And so I said, "I tell you what, just give me 10% of that $1 million. Okay. And I will coach you for a year and I will find you that $1 million in the next 12 months. In other words, if you give me $1 and I give you $10 back, is that a good deal?" He said, "Well, yeah, that's a good deal." So he paid me $100,000. That's 10% of $1 million, right? He paid me $100K. That's why I love working with high achievers, right? They make decisions quickly and firmly. They don't.
They don't think about it. He's like, "Dang, I should have said 10,000 or."
Exactly. So anyways, no, but he was happy because.
Oh yeah, he's happy.
I didn't find him $1 million in the next 12 months. Instead, I found him $1.8 million in just 10 months.
Okay.
So he
close enough.
Right, close enough. So he gave me $1. I gave him $18 back. Is that a good deal? Oh, that's a great deal. And anyway, and by the way, he just sent me an email recently.
Okay.
And he said,
"What is that you're having?"
Just a lozenge here.
Okay.
I'm talking a lot, so I'm
yes, you are. Yeah.
Anyway, so he said he'd sent me an email recently, and he said, guess where I am now? I'm on a 7-week vacation with my wife. We just bought a new RV with all this money that we've got now. And we're taking 7 weeks off. We're going to drive around the Southeast and drive around in our new RV. And he said, so Noah, not only do I have more money than I've ever had before, I also have more time than I've ever had. So
he can
thank
take
you.
that 7 weeks. That's a beautiful testimonial.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to shift the conversation a little bit because I did say, I promised our audience that I would talk about affirmations.
Yes.
So before you leave, I'm enjoying this whole thing, but can you believe I've only asked you one question?
Well,
oh my God.
I tell you what, I can talk for about a weekend. So yeah.
Yeah, it's
so
funny. Okay, go ahead.
Here it is. So this is my affirmations method. This is my book of affirmations for Hay House. So if you go to AFFORMATIONS, affirmations.com, you can learn more about my affirmations method. But very briefly, everybody knows what an affirmation is, right? It's been taught for centuries. An affirmation is a statement.
I am powerful.
I'm happy. I'm rich. I'm successful. Your brain goes, no, you're not. So most people do not believe them. A scientific study actually proved that 75%, just get this, 75% of people do not believe their affirmations. And
that's why they're not effective.
Exactly. Imagine if you had a phone that didn't work 3 out of the 4 times you went to use it. You'd probably get a new phone, wouldn't you? So that's what I invented 25 years ago, is a better phone for the mind. So my affirmations method, instead of saying statements, I'm happy, I'm rich, I'm successful, your brain goes, no, you're not. You say, why am I so happy? Why am I so rich? Why am I so successful? And because of the embedded presupposition factor of the brain, this is what I discovered one morning. It was in the shower. I call it the shower.
Oh, that's cool. I get a lot of inspiration in the shower.
Most of us do. Yeah. So this was, I've written 24
books
on the subject. But anyway, so yeah, it's the embedded presupposition factor of the brain, which is just a fancy way of saying when you ask a question, your brain searches for the answer. So we're using the law of sowing and reaping. As you sow, so shall you reap. The problem is, we're sowing seeds of thought, but the bigger problem is that most people are sowing really lousy thought seeds. And so the point is, using my affirmations method, you can sow better thought seeds, change the questions you're asking, change your habits, change your results, and thereby change your life. That's my affirmations method in a nutshell.
Oh, wow. Okay. So can you say that again? So you say, why am I so wealthy? Why
am I so happy? Why am I so rich?
Okay.
And see, because when you're forming a question, that's how I invented the word affirmations. This is a word that I invented. It comes from the Latin word formare, which means to form. Okay. To form. Again, AFFORMATIONS, affirmations.com. And so the word affirmation, right? The old one that we're all used to, we've heard a million times, comes from the Latin word formare, which means to make firm. So here's what I have been asking and telling my clients for over 25 years now. What if you're making something firm, but it's in the wrong form? That means you just formed a life you didn't even want.
Oh,
so using my affirmations method, that's how you can form better questions, form better habits, form better results, and form a better life.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. And I want to go back to something that you said earlier in our conversation when you were sharing your story, that most people are taught to be poor. How is that? Is that through their parents, through programming, the school? Like what is it?
Well, you could ask, where isn't it? Because it's everywhere.
Where isn't it? Okay. Do you feel like it's in the media?
It's everywhere. It's in the what Jung called the collective unconscious. And so I'll give you an example. If you look in the media or just watch any movie, right? If you have a superhero movie or whatever, any like villain movie or something, the bad guy is always a wealthy businessman. The bad guy's always, a wealthy
It's so
businessman.
True, especially like Marvel, Avengers.
Yes, and they're all showing, so if you have money, that means you're a bad guy. It's just everywhere. It's very pervasive. And so, growing up poor, I got all those messages, again, from well-meaning people, parents, teachers, clergy, whatever. But there's lots of, beliefs out there. It's easier for rich camel to go through the eye of a needle, than a rich man to enter the gates of heaven, and which is a total misquote, by the way. And I mean, it just goes on and on. So the point is that one of the things that I do with my clients is I give them a quiz that actually shows them where their head trash about money is, where their beliefs about money, their limiting beliefs are about money. And, one woman who's in my 12-week breakthrough class right now, she took the quiz and she said, I didn't even realize that I was holding on to all this trash, all these negative beliefs about money. I didn't even realize it because they're in my subconscious. I'm like, well, you're welcome. That's what it's there for. So we bring it to the conscious, and then that's how you can make a conscious choice.
I love that. And are you successful in all areas of your life, or do you feel like you could use a little help, like health, relationships? I mean, we know you're wealthy. Right.
Well, I'll tell you what my mission here on this planet now is to teach the world about affirmations.
Yes.
And, my stated mission, when you go to our website, if you go to noahstjohn.com, you'll see that our stated mission is to raise the consciousness of humanity one question at a time. So the fact is, I've reached millions of people with my message, but I'd like to reach over 1 billion, so I've got a lot of work to do. As long as the good Lord decides to keep me here, I'm going to keep, plugging away and helping people, I hope, with my message, and, keep trying to make a difference. I mean, so I would say that I've done well, but, hey, there's always, I'd like to help more people, before it's my time to go, let's just say.
Oh, wonderful. But you have healthy relationships. Are you healthy? You feel like you're well-rounded in your abundance?
Well, I mean, I have a beautiful wife. We laugh every day. One of my favorite flexes is to shut off my computer every day at 5:00. I am the opposite of the hustle and grinders. There's lots of hustle and grinders out there, work 14, 16, 18 hours a day. I'm like, good luck, have fun. I'm like, no, I want to live. I want to live. And that's who I like working with. Now, I'm certainly not suggesting that hard work isn't appropriate or something bad about it. I'm saying that I would rather have systems that do the work for me so I don't have to do it. But you have to install the systems. It's not magic. You still have to do it. But yeah, I mean, I work out every day. We laugh every day. So I would say, I guess I'm pretty well-rounded.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I just think that that's an important aspect of your life, and, for people to get that perspective. So what is Zen success to you?
For me, it's having a balance of time, energy, relationships, and money. Having those 4 things, having, the time that I want to do the things that I want to do, having a good amount of energy, having happy relationships, and then having the money that I want so that I can do the things that I want with whom I want, when I want. That's what I help people to create every day. I mean, I don't call it Zen success, but certainly it could be called Zen success, and it's really living that freedom lifestyle.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, it's been such a pleasure getting to know you and your sense of humor, hearing about all of your books and programs. And I'll put your website, and I know you have many, and how to connect with you in the show notes. So thanks for joining me on the Zen Success Show today, Noah.
My pleasure.
That's it for today's episode of Zen Success. Head on over to iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you listen to shows. Zen Success is also available on the radio in select markets through amfm247.com. Subscribe to the show and share with friends. Be sure to head on over to zensuccessshow.com to help you on your Zen success journey, and join us on the next episode. May you find your own Zen success in life.
With the state of today's economy, it's more important than ever to invest in products that last for years to come. As the seasons shift and get cooler, make sure your closet is stocked with durable layers that stand the test of time from American Giant. American Giant's clothes work harder and are wearable season after season. Their greatest hoodie ever made is made from the highest quality materials that are cut and sewn right here in the United States. So you're investing right back in your local community. Choosing American Giant means taking a stand for American manufacturing and hardworking Americans, something other mega corporations don't care about. From fleece to knit, all in a range of colors for versatile daily wear, American Giant delivers everyday pieces designed for everyday life. Feel the difference of quality, made-to-last clothes from American Giant. Get 20% off your first order with code STAPLE20 at American-Giant.com. That's 20% off your first order at American-Giant.com with code STAPLE20.